The crystal cities of Zephyr Prime had never known war. For thousands of years, the beautiful spires had hummed with peaceful songs as the Zephyrian people lived in perfect harmony. Chief Harmonist Kelvin stood in the highest tower watching. The twin suns set over his world. The crystalline buildings around him glowed with soft music, creating a symphony that could be heard across the entire planet. But today, something was wrong. The harmony was broken by screams. Dark shapes moved across the sky like a swarm of angry insects. But these were not insects. They were ships. Alien ships that looked like they were made from bones and metal fused together in horrible ways. Vorthok's swarm had found them. Kelvin's transparent body trembled as he watched the enemy vessels descend. His people had heard stories about the swarm from other worlds. It consumed everything. They turned beautiful planets into dead rocks. They had already destroyed 17 civilizations, and now they had come for the Zephyrians. Harmonist. A young crystal being rushed into the chamber. The outer colonies are under attack. Our ships, they're breaking apart like glass. Through the tower's walls, Kelvin could see the battle happening in space above his world. Zephyrian. Vessels, designed for exploration and peaceful trade, tried to fight the biomechanical monsters. But it was like watching butterflies fight against wolves. The elegant crystal ships shattered on impact with the swarm's living weapons. "How many of our ships remain?" Kelvin asked, his voice creating ripples of fear in the crystal around. Him, less than 100. Harmonist. "The swarm has thousands." Kelvin closed his eyes and felt the harmony of his dying world. Every broken ship was a song that would never be sung again. Every fallen Zephyrian was a note lost forever from their eternal music. "Send word to all remaining colonies," he commanded. "They must prepare the ancient protocol." The what? Harmonist? The emergency signal, the one our ancestors created but hoped we would never use. Kelvin moved to an ancient crystal console that had not been touched in centuries. "We must call for warriors." Far across the galaxy, in a small solar system that most civilizations avoided, Captain Haiyan Wu was drinking coffee on the bridge of his ship. The Terran Defense Corps' vessel Defiance was patrolling the outer rim of human space, watching for pirates and smugglers. It was boring work, but someone had to do it. Haiyan Wu was a career military man. He had short black hair, tired eyes, and scars from a dozen small conflicts. Earth had only recently joined the galactic community, and most aliens still thought humans were primitive. They were probably right. "Captain," Lieutenant Jimin called from the communications station, receiving a strange signal. It's not using any known transmission format. "Put it through the universal translator," Haiyan Wu said, setting down his coffee. The bridge filled with beautiful, haunting music. But as the translator worked, the music became words. Desperate words. "To any who can hear this message, we're the Zephyrian Coalition. Our worlds are dying. ... We need warriors. We need those who understand war. ... Please. ... Help us." Message repeated several times, growing weaker each time. Then it stopped. "G-Min, can you trace that signal?" "Yes, sir. But it came from way outside our mapped territory. At least 3 weeks' travel, even with our fastest ships." Haiyan Wu studied the star chart that appeared on the main screen. The signal had come from a region of space that humans had never explored. A region that, according to their databases, was home to several peaceful civilizations. "Sir," came another voice. It was Communications Officer Sa Young. "I've been monitoring galactic news feeds. There are reports of entire star systems going dark in that sector. Something called the Vorthok swarm." Haiyan Wu had heard whispers about the swarm. Every spacer had. They were supposed to be unstoppable, a hive mind species that consumed everything in their path. Most civilizations simply ran when they heard the swarm was coming. "How many ships do we have available for immediate deployment?" Haiyan Wu asked. "Sir?" Keeman looked confused. "The command hasn't authorized any military action in that sector." "Many ships, Lieutenant?" 3 destroyers and 1 cruiser, sir. The Defiance, Retribution, Storm's Edge, and Iron Will." "But, sir, regulations require approval from Earth Command before we can leave our patrol sector." Haiyan Wu stood up and walked To the viewport, through the reinforced glass, he could see the stars. Somewhere out there, an entire civilization was dying while sending desperate pleas for help into the void. Gimin, send a message to the other ships. Tell them to prepare for immediate departure. Sir, I have to remind you that leaving our assigned patrol area without authorization could result in court-martial. Haiyan-Wu turned to face his bridge crew. These were good people. They had families back on Earth. They had signed up to protect human space, not to go on suicide missions in unknown sectors of the galaxy. Anyone who wants to transfer to another ship can do so now, he said quietly. I won't think less of you. But someone called for help. That's enough for me. Nobody moved. Set course for the Zephyrian systems, Haiyan-Wu commanded. Maximum speed, and send word to Earth Command. Tell them we're going to war. As the 4 human ships engaged their faster-than-light drives, leaving known space behind, none of them realized they were about to introduce the galaxy to something it had never seen before, the fighting spirit of a Deathworld species. The human ships dropped out of hyperspace and found themselves in hell. Captain Haiyan-Wu stared at the main screen in shock. What had once been a beautiful star system was now a graveyard. Pieces of crystal ships floated like broken glass through space. Some were still glowing with dying light, their harmonic cores slowly fading to black. My God, whispered Lieutenant Jimin. How many ships were destroyed? Thousands, replied Tactical Officer Sujin, her voice tight with emotion, reading debris patterns from at least 3,000 vessels. But the destruction was not over. In the distance, massive bioships shaped like twisted bones and metal were attacking the remaining crystal cities on Zephyr Prime. The alien vessels moved like living creatures, their hulls pulsing with veins of dark energy. On the beautiful crystal structures, consuming them like parasites. Sir, I'm getting a communication request, Sa Young announced. It's from one of the surviving Zephyrian ships. It through. The face that appeared on the screen was unlike anything the humans had ever seen. It was translucent, like living crystal, with features that seemed to shift and change with emotion. This was Chief Harmonist Kelvin, though the humans did not know his name yet. Unknown vessels, the alien said, his voice creating beautiful musical tones even through the translator. You answered our call, but you must leave immediately. The swarm cannot be stopped. They have consumed 17 worlds. No military force has ever defeated them. Haiyan-Wu leaned forward in his command chair. We didn't come here to run. We came here to fight. What can you tell us about their attack patterns? Kelvin's crystalline features showed confusion. Attack patterns? They simply consume. There is no strategy to understand. They overwhelm. With numbers and devour everything. There's always a pattern, Sujin said, already working at her tactical station. I'm detecting at least 50 different ship types in their formation. The smaller ones are scouts, the medium ones are fighters, and those big ones. ... double quotes. She paused, studying the data. Take out the command ships, and the smaller ones lose coordination. How can you know this so quickly? Kelvin asked, his voice filled with wonder and confusion. Because we've been fighting wars for our entire history, Haiyan-Wu replied simply.
Oh.
Every human learns to read a battlefield, before Kelvin could respond. Alerts began sounding on both ships. A group of Vorthok fighters was moving toward them, their biomechanical forms twisting through space like angry snakes. All ships, battle stations, Haiyan-Wu commanded. Attack pattern Delta, target the lead vessels. The Zephyrians watched in amazement as the 4 human ships immediately spread out into a combat formation, instead of fleeing or trying to hide. They accelerated directly toward the approaching enemy. They're going to ram them, Kelvin said in shock. But the humans had no intention of ramming. As the enemy fighters approached, the human ships opened fire with weapons the Zephyrians had never seen before. Plasma cannons and missile launchers created a deadly crossfire that caught the bioships. Completely off guard, 3 enemy fighters exploded in brilliant flashes. The remaining ones tried to retreat, but the human ships pursued them relentlessly. Storm's edge to defiance, came a voice over the radio. We've got a big one coming up on our starboard side. Haiyan-Wu looked at the tactical display. A massive, Vorthok destroyer was moving toward the storm's edge, its biomechanical hull bristling with weapon ports. Storm's edge, break off and retreat, Hyenwu ordered. Negative, Captain. We've got a clean shot at their power core. Storm's edge, that's an order. Sorry, sir. This is too good an opportunity to waste. The Zephyrians watched in horror as the human destroyer Storm's Edge flew directly at the enemy vessel. At the last moment, the ship's captain activated the self-destruct system. The nuclear explosion tore through both ships, completely destroying the Vorthok destroyer and killing everyone aboard the human vessel. Kelvin's harmonics rose to impossible levels of distress. They destroyed their own ship. They killed their own people. 37 crew members, So Young reported quietly. They saved us from that destroyer. How can you speak so calmly about this? Kelvin demanded. 37 lives were just lost. If they hadn't done it, we might have lost all our ships and your planet too, Hyenwu replied. Captain, Minho made the right choice. The right choice? To commit suicide? Sergeant Teho, the leader of the Marine boarding parties, spoke up from his station. Sir, with respect, your people don't understand war. Every human soldier knows they might die in battle. We don't fight to survive, we fight to win. More enemy ships were approaching now, dozens of them, moving in attack formation toward the remaining human vessels and the last Zephyrian ships. All human vessels, prepare for boarding operations, Hyenwu commanded. Marines suit up for hostile environment combat. Boarding operations, Kelvin asked. Do you mean to actually go inside their ships? Best way to kill something is to get close to it, Teho replied, checking his plasma rifle. My teams are ready to go, Captain. The Zephyrians watched in stunned silence as human Marines in powered armor launched themselves through space toward the enemy. They flew through the vacuum like metal angels of death, their suits bristling with weapons. This is impossible, Kelvin whispered. No civilized species fights like this. We're not civilized, Hyenwu said with a grim smile. We're humans, and we're here to end this war. Deep beneath the surface of Zephyr Prime, in crystal caves that had never known violence, Lieutenant Dong Hyen sat with a group of terrified Zephyrian civilians. The aliens huddled together like frightened children, their translucent bodies dimming with fear every time the ground shook from explosions above. Please, begged a young Zephyrian named Solara, her voice creating soft musical notes even in her terror. Explain to us how your people can be so calm about death. Dong Hyen looked around the perfect crystal chamber. The temperature was exactly right. The air was pure and clean. Soft light came from the walls themselves, and gentle music played constantly in the background. It was beautiful, but it was nothing like Earth. Your world is what we call a garden. World, he said slowly. Everything here is designed to keep you safe and comfortable. Our world, he paused, trying to find the right words. Our world tries to kill us every single day. Zephyrians made confused musical sounds. Kill you? No. But why would a world kill its own children? Medical Officer The Jean joined the conversation. She was treating wounded Zephyrians with human medical supplies, since their own healing crystals had been destroyed in the attacks. Earth has weather that can freeze you solid in minutes or boil you alive in the desert. We have animals that hunt humans for food. We have diseases that spread faster than we can cure them. But how do you survive? Asked another Zephyrian. We adapt, Sergeant Jiangsu said grimly. He was cleaning his plasma rifle while keeping watch at the cave entrance. Every human child learns that the world is dangerous. We learn to fight or we die. Solara's crystalline form flickered with confusion. But surely your leaders protect you? Surely they make rules to keep everyone safe? Deng Heian almost laughed, but he held it back. These people were too innocent. Our leaders send us to war. They expect us to die for our people. We do it willingly. Why? Because if we don't fight, everyone dies. It's not just some of us. All of us. Above their heads, the battle continued to rage. Through the crystal walls, they could hear explosions and the screams of dying bioships. The human Marines were fighting their way through Vorthok vessels, using tactics that the peaceful Zephyrians could not even imagine. I don't understand, Solara whispered. In our culture, even one death is a tragedy that affects our entire world. How can you plan for thousands to die? Medical Officer Minay looked up from bandaging a wounded Zephyrian. Because if we don't plan for casualties, we lose everyone. Every human soldier knows they might not come home. That's why we fight so hard. Da! Ground shook again, more violently this time. Through their communication devices, they could hear Captain Hyan Wu coordinating the battle above. Alpha Team, fall back to position 7. Bravo Team, set charges on that bio node. Charlie Team, we need you to hold that corridor even if it kills you. Even if it kills you, Silara repeated the words like they were from an alien language. How can he say such things so calmly? Because it's true, Xiangsu replied. I want Charlie Team knows they might die. But they also know that if they don't hold that position, the whole operation fails and everyone dies. Suddenly, alarms began sounding throughout the crystal caves. The Zephyrians immediately began to panic, their bodies flashing with colors of terror. What's happening? Dong Hyan demanded. Bioterror weapons, came the Gien's voice over the radio. The swarm is deploying fear-inducing creatures. They're designed to paralyze enemies with pure terror. The Zephyrians around them collapsed. Not from physical wounds, but from overwhelming fear. The creatures above were somehow projecting waves of pure horror into their minds, and the peaceful aliens had no defense against it. Double quotes we. We cannot move, Solara gasped. The fear, it is too strong. But the humans were different. Dong Hyan felt the fear hit him like a physical blow. His heart started racing, his hands began to shake, and every instinct told him to run and hide. But instead of collapsing like the Zephyrians, he gripped his rifle tighter. All human personnel, came Captain Hyan Wu's voice over the radio. Enemy bioterror weapons are active. Switch to combat stimulants and prepare for close quarters. Battle Jiangsu activated the drug dispenser in his armor. Immediately, the fear changed into something else. His racing heart became fuel for action. His shaking hands became steady. The terror became anger. How? Solara whispered, watching the humans prepare for battle instead of cowering in fear. How can you function when the fear is so strong? Because fear is just another enemy, Minay replied, checking her medical supplies. And we've been fighting enemies our whole lives. The sound of gunfire erupted from the caves above them. Human voices could be heard shouting battle cries as they charged toward the source of their terror instead of running from it. This is impossible, another Zephyrian said. No species should be able to function under such conditions. Dong Hyan looked at the terrified aliens around him. These were good people. They had created a civilization based on harmony and peace. They had never hurt anyone. But they had also never learned to fight back against those who had hurt them. We're not just any species, he said quietly. We're from a death world. Fear doesn't stop us. It makes us stronger. Outside, the battle continued. But now the humans were winning. The Vorthok swarm, which had conquered 17 civilizations, was learning what it meant to fight beings who had evolved to turn terror into rage, who planned for death as part of victory, and who saw sacrifice not as tragedy but as duty. The Deathworlders had arrived, and nothing would ever be the same. In the damaged command center of the Defiance, Captain Hyan Wu spread holographic battle plans across the tactical table. The room was filled with smoke from damaged systems, and sparks flew from broken consoles. Half his crew was wounded. They were still fighting. Chief Harmonist Kelvin floated beside the table, his crystalline body dim with exhaustion. He had been using his harmonic abilities to coordinate the defense for hours, and the strain was showing. Around them, the sounds of battle continued as human marines fought through the corridors of captured Vorthok ships. The situation is bad, Hyan Wu said, pointing to the tactical display. We've destroyed maybe 30% of their fleet, but they keep bringing in reinforcements. At this rate, we'll run out of ammunition before they run out of ships. My people are scattered across 12 different refugee sites, Kelvin added, his voice creating worried musical tones. Without our main harmonic network, we cannot coordinate our remaining defenses. Communications Officer Sa Young looked up from her damaged station. Captain, I've been studying the Zephyrian harmonic abilities. If we could link their communication network with our tactical systems, what are you thinking? The Zephyrians can communicate instantly across vast distances using their crystal resonances. If Chief Harmonist Kelvin could connect with our command structure, we could coordinate attacks across the entire star system simultaneously. Kelvin's form brightened with interest. It is theoretically possible. The harmonic resonance could link all your human commanders into a single battlefield network. But the mental strain would be enormous. No Zephyrian has ever attempted to coordinate violent combat operations. Could it work? Haiyan Wu pressed. Perhaps. But your minds, they are so chaotic, so aggressive. The harmonic connection might be too much for me to handle. Commander Wu Jin, recently promoted after his previous captain died, ramming a biocruiser, stepped forward. Harmonist, we need you to try. Our people are dying out there, and yours are too. This might be our only chance. Kelvin looked around the damaged command center. Through the viewport, he could see human ships engaging Vorthok biovessels in desperate combat. The humans never retreated, never surrendered. They fought with a ferocity that both amazed and terrified him. Very well, he said finally. But I will need direct contact with all your senior commanders. We can do that, Sa Young said. Set up a harmonic amplifier, using our communication array. 30 minutes later, the most unusual military conference in galactic history began. Kelvin placed his crystalline hands on the harmonic amplifier. While human commanders from across the battle zone appeared as holograms around the tactical table, all units, this is Captain Haiyan Wu, the captain began. We're about to try something that's never been done before, and the Zephyrians can link our minds through their harmonic network. You'll be able to see and hear everything happening across the entire battlefield. Sir, came the voice of Lieutenant Colonel Jae Soong from the surface of Zephyr Prime. My Marines are pinned down in Sector 7. We need immediate support. See them, replied Commander Hei-Wan from the Iron Will, preparing torpedo strike on their position. Kelvin activated the harmonic resonance, and suddenly everyone was connected. The humans gasped as their minds linked together through the crystalline network. They could see through each other's eyes, hear each other's thoughts, feel each other's emotions. This is incredible, whispered Tactical Specialist Sun Hai. I can see the entire battlefield at once. Kelvin was struggling. The human minds were so violent, so aggressive, so chaotic. Their thoughts were filled with tactical calculations, casualty estimates, and the constant willingness to sacrifice themselves for victory. It was overwhelming. I cannot maintain this, he gasped. Your minds are too intense. Hold on, Haiyan Wu said firmly. We need just a few more minutes. Through the harmonic network, every human commander could see the complete tactical situation. They could coordinate attacks with perfect timing, support each other's operations, and execute complex maneuvers as if they were a single organism. Alpha Squadron hit the command ship from the north, ordered Commander Shite. Bravo Squadron attacked from the south exactly 30 seconds later. Charlie Squadron rammed the engines when they turned to face Bravo. The coordinated assault was beautiful and terrible to watch. Human ships moved in perfect synchronization, their chaotic individual fighting styles somehow creating a deadly dance of destruction. The Vorthok commanders, used to fighting civilized species with predictable tactics, could not understand what was happening. How are they doing this? One bioship captain transmitted to another. They fight like animals but move like a machine. Medical officer the Jin, monitoring the harmonic connection, watched in amazement as human boarding parties struck 18 different targets simultaneously. They're moving like a pack of wolves, she observed. Individual hunters, but perfectly coordinated. Because that's what we are, Sergeant Tejo replied as his Marines cut through Vorthok defenders. We evolved as pack hunters. We learned to work together or die alone. Kelvin's harmonics were becoming strained and discordant. The connection was taking everything he had. But he held on, fascinated despite his exhaustion by what he was witnessing. The humans were not just fighting, they were hunting. Their entire species had evolved as predators, and now they were applying millions of years of predatory instincts to space warfare. Target acquired, announced Commander Wu Jin. All units, prepare for final assault on the swarm's primary hive ship. This is impossible, Kelvin whispered. No species should be able to coordinate such complexity while maintaining individual aggression. Pack hunters, Haiyan Wu said simply. We hunt together, we kill together, we die together. That's how humans have always survived. The final assault began, and the galaxy was about to learn what happened when Deathworld predators worked as one perfect, deadly pack. The final battle lasted exactly 47 minutes and 12 seconds. Through the harmonic network, every human commander moved with perfect coordination while the Vorthok swarm tried desperately to understand what was happening to them. The bioships that had conquered 17 civilizations found themselves facing an enemy that broke every rule of civilized warfare. All units, execute final assault pattern, Captain Hyan Wu commanded through the crystal link. His voice reached every human fighter across the star system at the same moment. The swarm's primary hive ship was massive, bigger than a city, its biomechanical hull pulsing with dark veins of energy. It had never been defeated in 1,000 battles, but it had never fought humans before. Commander Wu Jin of the Retribution led the first wave, the ship diving straight toward the hive ship's primary weapon ports. Behind him, dozens of human fighters followed in perfect formation, their movements coordinated through Kelvin's failing harmonic network. Wu Jin pulled back. Hyan Wu ordered, "You're flying into a trap." "Negative, Captain," came the reply. "I can see their weak point. The main power core is exposed when they charge their primary weapon. That's a suicide run. Then it's a good day to die for something meaningful." The Zephyrians watching from their crystal caves could not understand what they were seeing. The humans were deliberately flying into certain death, but they were doing it with smiles on their faces and songs in their hearts. Kelvin, struggling to maintain the harmonic connection, felt the emotions of every human fighter. They were not afraid of dying. They were afraid of failing. They were afraid of letting their friends down. They were afraid of not protecting the innocent. "This is madness," he whispered. "This is humanity," replied Medical Officer the Jinn, tears streaming down her face as she watched the tactical display. The Retribution struck the hive ship's power core just as the massive weapon began to charge. Explosion lit up the entire star system, destroying both ships instantly. But the hive ship's main weapon was gone, and its primary power grid was failing immediately. The smaller Vorthok ships began to lose coordination. Without the hive mind connection to their command vessel, they started to panic. "Now," Hyan Wu shouted. "All units, attack. Hit them while they're confused." What followed was not a battle. It was a hunt. Human ships pursued fleeing biovessels into asteroid fields where no sane species would dare to fly. When Vorthok commanders tried to surrender, they found that humans had no concept of accepting surrender from beings who consumed entire civilizations. Engineer Kide of the Iron Will had been quietly working on something special. He had turned his ship's entire engineering section into one massive explosive device, using parts from 3 different damaged human vessels. "Kide, what are you doing?" Hyan Wu demanded. "Something that needs to be done, Captain," came the calm reply. "There's a secondary hive node hiding behind that moon. If it escapes, it'll rebuild the swarm somewhere else." "Negative. We can destroy it with conventional weapons. It's not before it jumps to hyperspace. This is the only way." The Iron will accelerate it toward the hidden bioship, its hull glowing with the energy of its improvised weapon. Kite's final transmission was simple: for the crystal cities, for the innocent, for humanity. The explosion was visible from 3 star systems away. The secondary hive node was completely destroyed, along with any chance of the swarm rebuilding itself. In the aftermath, as the last enemy ships fled into deep space or were hunted down by relentless human fighters, and strange quiet fell over the Zephyrian system. The constant harmonics of terror and battle were replaced by something the crystal beings not heard in months: peace. Chief Harmonist Kelvin released the harmonic network and collapsed from exhaustion. The connection to the human minds had nearly destroyed him, but he had experienced something incredible. He had felt what it was like to be a predator, to hunt as part of a pack, to be willing to die for others without question. "Captain Hyan Wu," he said weakly, "I must ask you something. Your people... Do you realize what you are?" Now promoted to Admiral after the battle, looked tired but satisfied. "We're soldiers. We're protectors. We're humans." "No," Kelvin replied, his harmonics carrying notes of awe and terror. "You are something far more dangerous. They were evolution's perfect hunters, trained by a death world to never give up, never retreat, never abandon those who need protection. The rebuilding began immediately. Zephyr crystal growing technology combined with human military engineering to create something new, joint defense stations that could withstand any attack while maintaining the beauty and harmony of the crystal. Beings loved. Within days, a new message was being broadcast across the galaxy. It's not a plea for help, but a warning to those who would harm the innocent. To all who would bring violence to peaceful worlds, the message began. Know this, the Deathworlders have emerged from their distant system. They stand with us now. They hunt as one pack, fight as one army, and die as one people. To those who would consume civilizations and destroy the innocent, ... beware. The humans are watching. Admiral Hyenwu stood on the bridge of the rebuilt. Defiance, looking out at the stars through a viewport made of Zephyrian crystal and human steel. Around him, First Joint Human Zephyrian Patrol Fleet was taking position as guardians of the peaceful civilizations. The Deathworlders had found their place in the galaxy. Not as conquerors, but as the ones others called when the darkness came hunting. And the universe would never be the same.